Hello, I'm Avner. This is Ma'ayan Rypp, the director of The Other Widow. So first, applause. Thank you for this beautiful film. Thank you, PJFM, for introducing this film and having us. And we'll chat shortly about the film and the filmmaking. First, Ma'ayan, congrats on the film. Also you were nominated to the Israeli Oscars, and the film is being shown in festivals across the U.S. Congrats. And I wanted to share the first time we met was 12 years ago. Time flies fast. In the Cannes Film Festival, where your short film was part of the official selection, a very high distinction. And the film starred Anya Buchstein, was also in this one. Could you talk about the experience of being in Cannes, the most important film festival? How did it shape you as a filmmaker and help you make this film?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here. I think when you start, so it was an amazing experience having my short film at Cannes, and after that, it had a really good world tour. I think what it did mostly, first of all, it was an amazing screening, and it's amazing to screen there. But I think when it ended, I kind of like sat and hoped I'll get all these phone calls and people asking me for my next project and wanting to help, but it doesn't really work like that, at least not in Israel. So it took me a long time to realize that it really has to come from me, and I really had to like pave the way and understand how to go and do my next feature. It did open some doors because after being in the festival, I also attended the Cannes residency where I developed this film. But basically, when you go to like the best festival and screen there, you kind of like think it will always be like that. But then 12 years passed by, and only now my film is out in the world. So I guess it's not as you expect in that way.
Staying in France, in Israel, the film has a different title, the Mistress, and in English it's titled the Other Widow. And I know you have a funny story about how French people respond to the film's title.
Well, I love the name in English, The Other Widow, and I was really working hard and finding a way to use that phrase in Hebrew, but it just doesn't exist. So I called it the mistress, which in Hebrew it like has this like it pokes, it has something very sassy about it. I don't know the word exactly, but it's like a provocative word in a way, but also funny. And so I used the mistress, and then when we came to give the because the film was a French co-production, we had to give it a French name, and they also couldn't translate the other widow. They didn't have that same game of words. So I said, well, just call it the mistress, like in Hebrew. And they said, everyone here has mistresses. So we had to find a whole new name, which at the moment is Ella.
Interesting. So as I mentioned, Anya Buchstein also starred in your short film, and since then she has become, I think, one of the most prolific actors in Israel. And here she stars besides Dana Ivgy, who's also one of the most prolific actresses of our generation. And I'm wondering, how is it to work with experienced actresses like Anya and Dana? I mean, do they need directions? How do you go about it?
It's a huge privilege. It really allows, first of all, when you have a small budget, you don't have many days of shooting, which means you don't have many takes for each shot. So when you have such experienced actresses, you really don't need a lot of takes. Like the first take usually works. Then you do like a variation or try to like correct or make it more accurate to what your initial thought, or maybe play with it. So you just give them a word and they go out and do it. So in that sense, it's amazing. I really tried, as opposed with working with non-actors, that you try to do a lot of rehearsals. Here I tried, I really didn't even want them to meet. I know they were friends before and they did know each other, but I felt like every time they're together in the same room, something really, they're so warm to one another and they just can't stop doing that. So I really wanted to keep this tension between them. So the rehearsals we did were always very functional. Like you take this from here, you'd move this here. Like how do you move in the room? But we really didn't rehearse a lot of, you know, the emotional kind of rehearsals. We tried to keep it very you know, give it like the first time on set, you know, save that initial instinct for the set. So we really don't have a lot of takes, and I was very, very lucky because they could really, what we did was work a lot on the characters. We talked a lot about the characters. I showed them books or movies or influences, a lot of poetry and photography or drawings to you know, give them inspiration for the character, and then we kind of like worked on it together. But then we really left it open for the shooting days themselves.
You mentioned that, you know, it took 12 years to make this film, and you know it's not exceptional. Definitely not in the Israeli film industry. Also not in, you know, in the U.S. in the American film industry. Just like I read their hardships Sofia Coppola had to overcome to make Priscilla. And my question is, how difficult was it to, you know, stay passionate about the project throughout, you know, a decade? And how difficult was it to, you know, preserve the essence of the film? And what is the essence of the film that, you know, has not changed in these 10 years the film has been in the making?
Well, when I started writing this film, I wanted to write about this secret love I had, and I wrote this whole film about me and him, and then I just started to hate him, and then I decided to kill him and have him married, and then it became really interesting. And once I had that like one-liner of where does a mistress go when her lover dies, I believed in it so much and I really wanted to do it. And every morning I woke up knowing that this is what I want to do and thinking of this character. And I think it's true for every director in every project. He has to be so passionate and excited about it. And even if you wake up one morning thinking it won't happen, it probably won't. You have to believe in it with all your heart and wake up with that character and go to sleep with that character. And she was part of my life for this whole time. So so it was so obvious. I didn't have a plan B. I mean, this is what I was doing and I wouldn't accept no for an answer. And I think that's the best way to go for me. It's like committing suicide over I don't know if it works in English, that expression, but it's like committing suicide over a project, like not giving an alternative. Yeah, I think it's very important for every artist to feel it in their stomach and to truly believe in it and believe it's good. And it takes a lot of time to just find that one liner, that one thing that, you know, drives you to move on. But once you have it, I believe that, you know, it works for itself.
You know, I'm wondering, the film has so many public screenings. So, I mean, you meet the audience too. Some people approach you and say, we've experienced the same story. We also had this person in our life that died.
Yeah, that's the one thing that was really shocked when I saw that everywhere I went in the world, like between like Munich, Tallinn, the US, I don't know, Israel, like every screening, after every screening, someone came to me sometimes in tears and told me you don't understand. I have the exact same story, or my friend has this story. And I was shocked by how many mistresses are around us and how many people are maybe hiding this secret. And I really think this film is about this character holding a secret and having it kill her from inside, and you know, and her only release and her only ability to, you know, to let go of her lover and, you know, bury him is to let this secret out. So it's amazing how many are around us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful, fascinating. And talking about special people, special persons. the music was composed by a very special person. Can you
Yeah. The music was composed by Adam Weingrod, which is an amazing musician and also my husband. We had a really interesting process because for me it's very hard to use music in film. It always has to be diegetic, like part of the story. It's very hard for me when you like wash a film with music, and it kind of like, for me it degrades all the drama. So every character in my film had its own music. Like Natasha brought her very classical music to the film, and with Ella we used with very and the cello, and with Ella it was very like more underground music, more electronic, more offbeat. And then when Natasha invades Ella's dreams, we used the cello, but we played it backwards, or like not the way you should play a cello, and in a way it squeaks, or we brought Maya Belzitzman to actually play it, and she did an amazing job because you tried to like make it feel dirty and invasive. So we went out with this theory to this film, and it was very difficult because it's very subtle, the music, but I think Adam did an amazing job. And he couldn't leave me when we were fighting because I was pregnant from him. So we had to keep on till the end.
I have a few more questions before we wrap. I love opening scenes. I have a theory that the opening scene is always the most important scene, and I think your film demonstrates it. Also, I think it's the first time we see a use of Uber Eats. It's actually Volt, but there's no Volt in the US, so it's use Uber Eats in an Israeli film. And I was wondering if you had the scene in mind. Was it the first scene you wrote in your screenplay, or?
Actually, it was the last scene we wrote. I wrote the film with Anat Gafni. I felt we need, before the film starts, I felt we need a taste of Ella's life with him. I mean, we decided to kill him before the film starts. And it was a decision to not show Assaf at all in the film. Even though we had a scene we shot with him, I decided in the editing to take it off. I thought we had to be very, like, it's not about him. But I did want to bring somehow their life together. And I thought a good way to bring it is his absence also in her life. So when we wrote it, it was, it was a very funny way to show this mix up of him trying to, like, have everything at the same time, his both lovers at the same time, and him being, confused and trying to keep it all together, and her, paying the price for it again alone. And I thought it was really funny. And also the payoff in the end for me was, a lot of times, and I saw the film so many times that I don't really go in to watch the whole film when it screens, but I always like to watch the first 5 minutes, because when you watch the opening scene, you kind of understand who is your crowd. If they laugh from it, if they get it, if they understand this humor, then I know they're with us. I know they're gonna enjoy this film. So it turned out to be a very important scene also for the viewing for me.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I want to build off from that. You just like said that you've watched the film so many times. I'm wondering, because you've also been working on it for so long, how different it is from what you first imagined it to be.
When you make a film, there's so many people involved in creating this film, that you kind of like go with some sort of initial intent, and then there's so many people making it happen that sometimes it's better and sometimes it's not as you imagined. But I think the essence of the characters remained as I imagined. I mean, and I think the essence was always as I imagined. The tone is as I imagined. And I think that's the most important.
Yeah. So maybe one last question. The film, most of the film takes place in a Shiva, and I think the pros of the setting are obvious. It's a closed space, so it creates drama and comedy. What are the cons of making a film in a Shiva? What was the biggest challenge?
First of all, for me, the film, I really wanted to have close encounters of always Ella meeting one person and being able to open or unveil something with one person. So it's always his brother, his mother, his wife, and the Shiva, it serves as a setting for all these meetings to happen. It was very hard during COVID to shoot it and bring also all the people technically to create it, but it was always very hard to. What I always wanted to create in the Shiva is having all these people surround her and her being unseen there, having her always being on the side of or I'm trying to maybe erase this part when you show the maybe I'll try to think again of a good answer. Well, thematically, I think the Shiva is a place of mourning, and what it served for me the most was the ability to bring humor into it, I guess, because the situation is so sad, and I really tried to have it so sad. Then I thought this setting could only make Ella, wander around there and be so not being able to blend in there, that it created a humor. The absurdity of the situation created for me this humor that allowed me to handle the subject of a mourning in a way that's very unique for Ella, which is a way that not a regular person that goes to a Shiva experiences. Her not being able to be part of it allows her to bring this specific tone to the film. I hope I'm explaining myself okay.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a funny film from start to finish. I know when I watched it, the audience I was sitting with got it, and was laughing pretty hard. But also, it's a sad film and a beautiful film. I think Shiva. I mean, we're in a Jewish film festival. I think Shiva is maybe one of the best Jewish startups. It's such a beautiful idea, and interesting. There aren't many Israeli films about Shiva. There's the film Shiva and yours, and I think that's pretty much it. So I didn't want to start or talk with this, but I want to say I hope you and your family are safe. Obviously, very difficult times to be in Israel and to be a filmmaker in Israel. If you're not aware of it, the cinemas in Israel are closed at the moment, and we both lost friends and friends of friends. So yeah, I also wanted to say that, and again, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for this film. Thank you for the conversation. It was beautiful as much as the film is. And again, thank you, PJ Film Festival, for having us. And we hope to visit in person one day when it's possible.
I wish. Thank you.